This is Cromar with TGN, welcoming you to another World of Warcraft Cataclysm beta video. This is DPS Rundown Part 3 of the 22-part series, and today we're covering the Combat Rogue. So let's take a look at some of the Combat Rogue talents here. Now, spec in combat is actually really easy. There's most of these talents are really obvious, like Precision and Sinister Strike and whatnot. I was left with 4 talents left over that I had to place in one of these extra talents, and there's a lot of good ones here you can get. I wound up getting Improved Recuperate and Improved Gouge. My reasoning here is that Improved Gouge may be occasionally useful for controlling ads, controlling trash mobs and stuff like that, and Recuperate might make your healers appreciate you a little bit, but that's about it. These other ones, you can take any of these. Extra range on your deadly throw, I don't know about that. Improved Sprint will help you escape in some situations where you're slowed. That's a pretty nice one in some situations. So, like, maybe if you look it up ahead of time, you might get slowed by some ads, you might want to get that one. The other ones, they're whatever. But the rest of your talents here are important, like your Slice and Dice. More duration of Slice and Dice means the more combo points you get to go to Eviscerate, and so on. Then, of course, talents that do direct buffs to your damage, like Lightning Reflexes. So that's why this combat tree is easy to spec. For your other talent points, there's 2 obvious ones. First, you have Coup de Grace, increasing your Eviscerate. Then you have Relentless Strikes, which is a mainstay for any rogue build. Now, after that, you have 4 points left over, and there's not a lot of choices, because, like, in Subtlety, for example, there's pretty much nothing. In Assassination, you have Quickening here, which is, again, your healers will really appreciate that. But, of course, I went with Ruthlessness, and in order to get down to it, you had to take the 2 points in Lethality. Now, if you're wondering why I only have 2 points in Ruthlessness, it's because I'm just out of points. It's how the trees are structured. You can't have 3 here and 3 here, unfortunately. Now, as far as why I put 2 here instead of 1 and maybe put 3 in Lethality, it's because although Lethality is a very good talent, unfortunately your Sinister Strike just has a very low crit chance. At very high levels of gear, when you have a very high crit chance, you never know. This might actually wind up being a better talent, because this actually scales, whereas Ruthlessness is just a flat random chance. But we'll see in the future. For now, I'm certainly taking Ruthlessness over Lethality. For glyphs, 2 of your choices are real obvious, Sinister Strike and Eviscerate, because they directly buff your 2 staple abilities. Now, for your last slot, I went with Adrenaline Rush, but this is, there's some decisions to make here. There's one other one from for your Prime Glyph that I would consider competition. Keep in mind your Adrenaline Rush is 15 seconds normally, so this is from 15 to 20 seconds, and if you factor in your talent Restless Blades, which causes your Adrenaline Rush to come back up, then that 5 seconds is a pretty large increase to your uptime of Adrenaline Rush. 5 seconds amounts to about 2 Sinister Strikes plus a little bit more, so this is pretty good. Now, I said there's one other one you want to consider. Revealing Strike increases the I suppose this increases your Eviscerate by a 10%, and that's obviously huge, but I still think Adrenaline Rush is superior. It brings in more total DPS. Let's see here. Now, for Glyph of Rupture, I'm not taking this one for a very specific reason. I will be getting to that in just a moment. There's also Slice and Dice, which increases the duration by only 3 seconds. It's just not enough, because it's already like a 45 or 50 second talent or whatever it is. It's a lot. So this is just extra, and it's not really necessary. Killing Spree, this does even less damage than this adds. Killing Spree is not a huge part of your damage, so this really is not a big deal. Okay, and then for the rest of your glyphs, there's only one glyph that matters, which is Blade Flurry in major glyphs. This reduces the penalty of energy generation while your Blade Flurry is active. Now, you're probably thinking, what penalty? Well, Blade Flurry has been changed now, unfortunately. It does have a energy regeneration penalty on it, but this glyph will help cut that penalty in half. So this is going to come up a lot during trash mobs and whatnot. I think the main reason they put that in was because it's a 30-second cooldown now, so you'll be using it quite a bit. So they wanted to add some kind of downside to it, or else you'd be hitting it every time it comes up. It also no longer gives you a haste bonus, by the way. Now, for your rotation, you might be thinking that your best bet is to go with a Slice and Dice Rupture and then Eviscerate with whatever combo points you have left over. However, this is not the case. Now, I want to show you an old combat log. I did some testing before filming, and Rupture only amounted to about 3.8% of my DPS, and that's for a large combo point investment. Those combo points are much better spent in Eviscerate. A matter of fact, you can even look at the tooltip, and you'll see that while Eviscerate averaged almost 8k damage per non-crit Eviscerate, Rupture is only about 5100, and Eviscerate actually has about 10% extra crit thanks to the glyph. Plus, Eviscerate's only going to scale up more once you have Sunder Armor. Even with Mangle, your Rupture is still not going to pass up your Eviscerate. So I'm going to go ahead and say now that that Rupture is not going to be part of the rotation. Plus, maintaining it just adds extra work, and you know, and for a flat DPS increase, you can switch to Eviscerate. So let's see that rotation in action. It's quite simple. We're just going to go in with a stealth. We're going to open up with ambush and then hit an adrenaline rush immediately. Spam sinister strikes to get slice and dice up. Revealing strike. Spam sinister strikes until we can eviscerate. That was a nice eviscerate, jeez. Now we only need to worry about maintaining sinister strike, or maintaining a slice and dice rather. Now as soon as your adrenaline rush is over, you hit killing spree. And did I land on the right dummy? I can't even tell where I am now. Yeah, that's very discombobulating. Yes, I landed on the wrong dummy. Okay, well, this is only a quick test. This isn't my full DPS test, so that was obviously screwed up. But if you manage to not lose your bearing after using killing spree, then first, congrats, and second, then you can go right back to doing your damage, because after using killing spree, you have a nice fat energy pool left over. Okay, so that's pretty much the rotation. Use adrenaline rush as soon as it comes up. Use killing spree as soon as it comes up. I didn't will very frequently, and mash your sinister strike button. Get one revealing strike into each combo for your eviscerate until it's time for a slice and dice. Then you just want to do 5 sinister strikes for your slice and dice. Okay, so now we're going to run a quick DPS test, and we're going to rack up a little bit over 2 million damage and see how the numbers come in.
I don't have enough energy. I can't do that. That ability is great. I can't do that.
Okay, here's our final numbers. We have about 5,400 DPS coming, 5,468 to be exact, coming from the spec. Most of the damage is melee, which is not a surprise since most combat talents rather, actually buff your melee damage by quite a bit, including ambidexterity. Where is it here? Ambidexterity increases the damage done by your offhand and thrown weapons by 75%, so that's obviously quite a bit of damage. That's why your melee is on top. Sinister Strike is right below it, not surprising. Now my crit rate's interesting. You notice I got an 8.3% crit on the melee, but I got a 16% crit on Sinister Strike, but I suppose it's just not a large enough sample size. The other possibility is that thanks to glancing blow reduction, my crit wound up being much lower for melee, which is the most likely reason. Now, when you move on to Eviscerate, you see I got a nice 21% crit. That's thanks to the glyph, of course. Still quite a bit more than Sinister Strike, but not 10% more. I think Sinister Strike just got a little lucky in the procs. Instant Poison and Deadly Poison performed about as much as you'd expect, making up about 20% of your total damage. Instant slightly better than Deadly. Killing Spree, used it every time it came up, did something. The nice thing is that about Killing Spree, though, is when it runs out, you have a lot of energy to play with, so that's the best thing about it, really. Revealing Strike. Now, if you were curious about Revealing Strike, to if it does enough damage to be worth it, you're talking about 2,437. It was my average, compared to 2,920. So Sinister Strike's a little bit better than Revealing. Plus, Sinister Strike had bigger crits, and it seems to crit a little more often. See, now this 11% crit on Revealing Strike's a little more what I would have expected than Sinister Strike. But anyway, what was I saying? The The other thing about Sinister Strike that's better, of course, is that it generates an extra combo point with the glyph. So Sinister Strike is clearly the best ability, but it's not by such a huge margin that you don't want to use Revealing Strike. You still want to get your one Revealing Strike in your cycle for your Eviscerates. Alright, then we get on to Main Gauche, the loser. 1.7% of your damage came from Main Gauche, even less than Revealing Strike. That's amazing. This is a terrible mastery. This, if you're wondering what that is, if you forgot what that is, it's your mastery here. For combat, it causes you to generate extra offhand attacks, but the percentage is so low, so low. I mean, this gear, the 333 gear, how much mastery do I even have? I have 11 mastery, which is 539 mastery rating. That's quite a bit. You know, that's quite a bit. I've got a decent amount of mastery rating, and it's just such a small amount of extra damage. It's just totally not worth it. You definitely want to gear yourself as far away from mastery as possible as combat. And I really hope they fix this. I really hope they go back and they actually change this so that mastery is completely garbage for combat, but we'll see. For now, avoid mastery, and it will help you a lot. So I think that with these rotations, I think we've shown pretty conclusively that Rupture is inferior to Eviscerate, because not only did we get about 200 DPS better, but your rotation was just easier. I think there's no question Eviscerate is the better ability, so you just don't even want to bother with Rupture. Okay, well that does it for the Combat Rogue. Thank you for watching. As always, if you enjoyed, please comment, please rate, and please subscribe.